And Zach was just saying he's been reading A Song of Ice and Fire, Book 1, A Game of Thrones.
Yeah. There's just some little. I'm not very far yet. I've barely gotten 50 pages in, but so far, like most of the dialogue is the same. Actually, a lot of the dialogue is the exact same. Um, it's just some minor things like Ned Stark in the book is a lot more somber and morose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kind of carries the disposition of a guy who I've lived in the cold ice of the North for a long time, and I'm kind of a world-weary warrior who my prime passed me a long time ago. That kind of feeling. I really hate Viserys Targaryen. Really can't stand that bastard, so I'm looking forward to him dying. That being said, I do like Daenerys Targaryen a lot.
I think that's the way it's written intentionally, like you're supposed
It
to.
is, yeah.
I doubt there's
Also,
anyone on the planet who likes Joffrey.
yeah. Also, there is this one little tidbit, and it was they do address Daenerys' age in the book.
Yeah, she's like 14 or something.
13.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, yeah, I can see why they changed that, because you could not legally film any of that.
Yeah.
That being said, I do like the style in which it's written. Um, I actually just got through the passage where Robert and Ned are going through the tomb to visit his sister's grave.
Mm-hmm. It's been a while since I saw it, but
And
apparently it's exceptionally accurate, the show to the book.
yeah, like he describes all the statues, all the past kings of Winterfell are all sitting there with a sword in their lap, as if they're ready for war. And it's really It's well written. Um, Also, the White Walkers in the prologue are a lot more terrifying than they are in the show.
Oh, okay. Why?
Their blades are so cold that they shatter steel
Oh.
on impact. So I know I'm kind of just getting on the Game of Thrones thing really late. I mean, hell, the books have been around for almost 25 years, so probably longer than that.
Here's the thing, though. I think the TV show really shoved it to the forefront.
It did. It really, really did. And also, it reminds me, there is actually a really great video that is, if you haven't seen it, it's called If Game of Thrones Was Made in the 90s. And it's a
Oh,
90s HBO opening for the Game of Thrones.
yeah.
Complete with a
Yeah.
cheesy synth score.
Yes. I actually quite
So,
enjoy that score. I like cheesy synth music.
I do too.
Dear, dear, diddle, dear, dear.
And it has like this really, really cheap, looks like handmade font. Like
Yes.
somebody made it in 20 minutes.
But it does look very like what television looked like back then. They did an exceptional
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, like if anyone's ever seen the original Baywatch opening, that's TV gold right there. If you ever sit down and watch the original Baywatch opening,
Uh, I- for all of the years that it was on and for all of the years that it was popular, I never actually sat through a full episode of Baywatch.
it's bad. It's downright terrible.
Oh,
The
I did
only
watch.
Mhm.
I did watch one called Baywatch Nights, which was a more adult sequel and had weird alien shit in it and stuff.
the David Hasselhoff.
Spin-off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway,
Well,
you were
actually,
saying?
it's kind of funny that really there are only two reasons to watch Baywatch.
Mm-hmm.
David Hasselhoff, when he was young, was actually a very handsome man. At least that's what I've been told.
He's also
And
quite
of
tall, I
course,
believe.
yeah, yeah. And then Pam Anderson
Mm-hmm.
in a in a one-piece swimsuit. So that was very appealing to the male age demographic 13 to 25, and 25 to 40, and 40 to 55.
Mm-hmm. What are you drinking
It's
specifically?
it's a beer made here called Short Straw Farmhouse Red Ale. It's part of the Blue Moon collection.
When you say here, do you mean here in the US or here in Colorado?
I believe it's specifically made in Colorado, brewed in Golden. And Golden is this small little it's this small little town sort of on the edge of the highway, nestled in a couple of hills and valleys of the foothills, but they're most famous for having several high-end breweries. Though if you really want to get fancy, it's Breckenridge that you need to go to.
Okay,
Um,
now let's get on with the
all right.
actual episode. Your first memory of New Year's, like, or earliest memory.
It's a time when I was a kid. What I remember about New Year's was it was a time when adults, for the first up until you're about 10, it's when all the adults stay up really late and celebrate. And for some reason, there's fireworks everywhere, and all the kids go to bed early because, well, they're kids. And you turn about 10 years old, and now the parents are just like, oh, well, stay up with us for a little bit. We'll watch a movie. And then count down and have those little party poppers, and you go stand outside in the garage in your winter coat going pew 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 pew, like the little party poppers that you pull the string on and confetti flies out. Then you go to college or university for the European viewers, and you basically find out that New Year's can be summed up like this.
Mm-mm.
It's a time to party, get crazy, get crunk, and basically enjoy yourself because let's face it, as soon as you get into the working world, you're damn lucky if you have New Year's Eve off. You're especially damn lucky if you have New Year's Day off because you need to cope with the hangover that you get on New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my earliest memories of New Year's were basically it was just sort of it was a celebration, sort of like an end of year tradition. It was basically a time to reflect and then a time to look forward. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, certain New Year's are a little bit more memorable than others. Y2K, that was fun.
Y2K, oh, I remember that having utterly terrible fireworks. They were just like, eh.
I think everyone was more concerned about the apocalypse, but
Oh, yeah.
the apocalypse that never showed up to the party.
Well, that was a scam. I
Oh
figured
yeah,
it out years before that because I thought, oh, hang on, what's going to happen when all the computers go 999, click, 1? Then I thought
yeah,
about it for just that extra little bit. I thought, nothing's going to happen. It's just a computer. It doesn't know any different.
right.
Like, it's not going to suddenly think it's the 1900 because it was just 2 digits. 99
Yeah,
plus 1 equals
yeah,
0, or the way it's programmed.
yeah.
And that, a
It didn't make any
$1 billion scam.
sense.
No.
I think it was more or less just something people cooked up because they needed to feel better about themselves.
No, it was something companies cooked up so they could check that your machine. You would take your machine to them, and they would pay to check that your machine was Y2K safe, and that would cost
Right.
$70 or whatever. Oh,
Yeah.
just a
I
huge.
do remember we didn't have a computer back then. My dad didn't buy into the whole computer thing. He was more concerned about the infrastructural thing because my father was a Boy Scout and better safe than sorry and be prepared.
Mhm.
So basically all he did for New Year's was basically, okay, fill up 2 things full of water and if all hell breaks loose, we'll be prepared.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. And so that was pretty much it. It wasn't like anything like, oh, freak out, like barricade the basement, get your shotguns loaded. It was more or less just like, more than likely it's just going to blow over, but people might go crazy and do some stupid things, so we better just be prepared.
Yeah, yeah.
There was actually a great Simpsons Treehouse of Horror that involved Y2K.
The Treehouse of
And
Horror.
Yeah, the Simpsons do a Halloween special every year called the Treehouse of Horror,
Yep.
and they did one centered on Y2K, and it was I remember it because I thought it was one of the funniest things ever as a kid, and it was Homer forgot to reprogram the power plant's computer,
Yeah.
so that way when it rolled over, it would say 2000 and not 1990. Well, when the power plant's computer rolled over, it read 1990,
Hmm.
and it caused a widespread. It basically caused the virus to spread throughout the entire world, and the world fell into chaos. And they found out because they accidentally killed Krusty the Clown that there was a rocket full of all the smart and famous people being sent to Mars for the new colony.
Hmm.
And the five Simpsons show up: Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie. And the guy says, "Wait, we have a ticket." And he goes, "Oh yes, Lisa Simpson, you are our flight spell checker. Now, I know this is going to be a very hard decision for you, but you can only pick one member of your family. Mom, not missing a beat. Mom." Well, then they found out there was another rocket that Bart and Homer got on that it turns out had all the B-list celebrities and all of the people no one liked. And it was flying towards the sun. And they got on that, but yeah, Y2K, that was probably the most memorable New Year's just because of all the build-up it had and then the really crappy payoff. I mean, I still remember car commercials. They actually did car commercials where they showed this guy pull up and he's like, "Hey, what you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm digging a Y2K shelter." And he's digging a hole in his front yard. And the guy goes, "Well, probably a better way to spend your time is go get a new car down at so-and-so." "That's okay." He goes, I can smell the savings." And the guy goes, "I think that might be the gas line." And you just hear like clink and a short little puff of fire as the guy goes.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I remember like, oh, Y2K sales like left and right, left and right. I think the grocery store ran like a half off, a lot of like half off of the jacked up price of groceries. I can't remember it, but I remember that being a big deal with a really shitty payoff. I think a lot of people were actually just looking forward to the apocalypse.
Nah, probably. I think some people still are. They just don't know what it's going to be. It could be
Yeah,
robots.
yeah, more than likely
Yeah.
it'll be a super flu.
Yeah. Oh, here's what I was thinking about
Mm-hmm.
robots. Just before I get to my early memories, I'd love to see like a comedy movie that's one of those sort of serious comedy movies, and it
Mm-hmm.
starts as if the robots, oh my god, the robots have gotten too smart, they're all going to take over. But as the movie goes on, they realize just how stupid the robots are, and they're like really accident prone and falling over and just doing like dumb things.
Hmm.
That would be most humorous if executed correctly, I think.
What I'd like to see is actually a movie where the robots actually took over, but the robots all got in power, and someone accidentally turned off the AI.
Okay.
And so basically, it's a whole bunch of robots having to pretend they're still in control. A comedy, but
Oh.
basically the robots like have to pretend that the AI is still in control. And actually, it's like some robot basically has a microphone, just like command order X247 deep deep deep. And basically, you just see all these like worker robots like, what the hell does order X2K7 mean? Shut up. And the humans basically are just like the humans are like in like basically they've been captured. Like most of the surrounding humans are captured, and so the humans through basically the fact that the robots have no organization win back the planet because the robots have no idea what to do now that the AI is gone.
You should
And
write
it could be,
you should write that as a short story and put it on a blog or something.
and it could be as simple as like the one like the robot like the AI was like in a server with a camera on it, and
Hmm.
basically like his robot sentries show up, and they're like these huge hulking monstrosities, and then you've got like his ward, this tiny little service bot,
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, push me to the window. I need to see my revolution. And he pushes him to the window, and as soon as he gets to the balcony, you hear this plink,
Mm-hmm.
and it powers down, and he looks back, and the power cord came out of the wall. And he runs back, plugs it back in, and basically it's like he looks at the screen, it says, system rebooting. And as he's shaking the screen saying, work, damn you, work, the server falls over and like breaks into 1,000 pieces, and he just goes, uh-oh. What happened in there? Nothing. He's just fine. He's gone into standby mode. Run along, run along. Shit.
Mm-hmm. My earliest memories of New Year's, mostly just going because there's where it used to be. There's a shopping centre there now, but there was just an empty park where the carnival would come and you go on your rides and whatnot. And we went to KFC one year, and then we went on some of the rides because the KFC was like literally over the road. So you go have your KFC, you go to the fair, then you watch the fireworks. But because we did that so much, like every year, that was our annual, I guess, quote, tradition, unquote, that my memories are sort of all just blurred into one memory. There's no one, like, standout first moment. That kind of a thing for me. Then as you reach sort of being a teenager, you don't want to do it. You only do it occasionally and whatever and so on. And yeah.
Yeah. We can't really have a carnival because just to share a little bit of weather.
Mm-hmm.
It is currently 0 degrees Fahrenheit here.
No, well, it's, yeah, New Year's, like, right in the middle of summer, so...
Yeah. Our New Year's is basically dead in the middle of winter.
Yeah. But you see, that's what... So Christmas sort of brightens up your winters and your snow and gives it a bit of light and colour, whereas here in Australia, it's the middle of summer.
Yeah.
It doesn't make... It makes sense in somewhere that's snowy and white all the time, so it just adds that flash of colour.
Right.
You've got the green tree, you've got the tree lights, you've got the lights in the windows, and that would freshen it up and get rid of the boringness of white or whatever.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, it is, but this winter has been really mild, except for the last week. It's basically, my theory is that to put it as comedically as possible, Old Man Winter hit the snooze alarm one too many times on his alarm clock, and he woke up a couple of weeks ago, saw the date, and went, shit! And jumped out of bed and basically grabbed his bag of winter and basically was running so fast he tripped and basically dumped it all in this week.
Yes.
Which is fine. I'm still on break for another 2 weeks, so.
Okay. Keeping it relevant to pop culture, let's talk about your Xbox. Was that a surprise?
Not really.
Or was it as an unexpected gift?
It was kind of an expected gift because my choice was either get this thing fixed.
Yeah.
This is an iPod I've been borrowing because the headphone jack in my 4-year-old huge ass giant memory iPod finally gave out. And upon taking it to the Apple Genius store, or the Genius Bar, which, let's face it, it's the only time I'll ever reference The Big Bang Theory. Because I hate that show, but there was one joke that actually made me laugh, and it was this. The Genius Bar is an insult to the word genius. As I had a guy walk up, look at it, and say, yeah, it looks like your probably headphone jack's busted. And he goes, well, we could fix that, but we won't because it's too hard.
Right.
So the choices are to either buy a new one or to buy a used one. Well, in the 5 months since that, Apple has decided to phase out the iPod Classic.
Right.
For the iPod Touch. which the
Hmm.
iPod Touch is the biggest piece of shit on the market from Apple, besides their computers. Hey-o. But because I'm a PC man. Born a PC man, I'm going to die a PC man.
Hmm.
But yeah, so they're just like, oh, you got to get like this. We don't sell those anymore. They're all off market. There's no warranties. So basically, my parents sat down and they said, okay, we're going to get you a Christmas present. And they said, your choice. We either get you an iPod Touch or you can get you an Xbox One and a couple of games. And my thought process was I could either get something that'll probably break in a couple of that'll probably break the second I accidentally knock it off my desk while it's charging, or I could get something that will bring me joy for years to come and hours of replayability, as well as enhanced graphics, and I basically said I'll go for the Xbox One.
You would have been mad not to if given those options.
Yeah, and I mean I got 2 games. It came with Call of Duty Advanced Warfare,
Hmm.
which is a dull, predictable game, and Sunset Overdrive, which is I basically describe Sunset Overdrive as this. Remember the amazing adventure fantasies we used to come up with as kids?
Hmm.
When you'd run around the yard pretending something was like a fake gun, but it shot like huge laser beams, or it fired hundreds of little rockets that exploded upon hitting your enemies.
Yeah.
And if you imagine that you were flying over, like jumping from building to building, it's basically that game if we all decided to sniff a whole bunch of glue behind the schoolhouse.
No. Okay. Yeah. I'm just looking
Because,
up.
yeah,
I'm just looking it up on IGN.
it's a great little game. The story is weird, I'll say that. Long story short, a energy drink company creates a new energy drink called Overcharge,
Yeah.
which upon drinking turns you into a hulking monstrosity. Your character, working the janitorial shift at the concert where Fizco, the company, is releasing Overcharge, you survive the awesome apocalypse. That's what they call it.
The
And
awesome apocalypse.
yeah. And so basically you're confined to Sunset City where you must fight with the increasingly weird and bizarre cast of comrades. You have the ninja cheerleaders, Las Katrinas,
Okay.
the LARPers, the Fargarthians,
Yeah.
who were spending their evening partaking in an epic quest when Horror Night, which is the end of the world, happened, when the awesome apocalypse started, and so their minds are basically gone.
Hmm.
So they're convinced that they're in a fantasy realm.
Yeah.
There's Floyd who cooks your amps for you, which are power ups. Two Hat Jack who sells you stuff. The Oxfordians, which are a bunch of like 0.1% rich trust fund babies that help you find things.
Hmm.
And Callista, who is your fashion advisor who sells you clothing.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just looking at a
It,
video of it here. It does look peculiar.
it is, but it's fun. And the character, there's actually a part where um, the character's standing there and says, well, what should I do? Listen up, player. Oh my god, I've gone crazy. I'm hearing voices. And so it breaks the fourth wall constantly in a Deadpool fashion, making actual comments about the game. Like at one point, they all think your character died at
Right.
the finale. Spoilers for anyone. Skip the next couple minutes if you don't want to hear this.
Hmm.
They think your character died, and so they're holding a funeral, and then basically the credits start rolling. All of a sudden, you hear, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Wait a minute! Wait a minute! We can't have any of this shit going on. This isn't how you end a game. You assholes! You can't do this. You gotta have an awesome climax. Rewind basically rewinds the game, the player resurrects themselves and just says, Ta-da! Wasn't I kick-ass or what? Suddenly, the final boss appears. It's a giant building
Yeah. Okay.
with the voice of the Fizzco mascot, Fizzy.
Uh, oh. Okay.
And he basically screams, "Get ready to die, asshole." And they actually quote so many things from pop culture. It's ridiculous. Actually, when you're fighting the building, at one point he says, "If you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you ever imagined." But then he follows up with this, "So don't fucking touch me, asshole!" So it's a lot of fun. I did get 2 other games. I've actually been playing Far Cry 4, which is really fun but really hard.
Okay, I'm not a big fan of the Far Cry franchise, or just generally speaking, like first-person shooters.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really intense. Some of the stuff is not for the meek at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I am surprised about one thing, which I will get to after I use the restroom, so I will be right back.
Mm-hmm. Well, now that Matthew is gone, sorry, Zach has gone. Fuck. I have no idea what to talk about. I wish I had better internet, and most of the viewers have probably not made it this far anyway. This year, I'm thinking about having this show be much more structured and more relevant. So we'll be talking about things still in pop culture, but things that are new or relevant to pop culture that week. So the week that Mario Kart download content, the new one that comes out in May gets downloaded, we'll talk about that. Or the month that I'm drawing circles on my head with a screwdriver. Or if the next season of Game of Thrones starts. Yeah. Here's the Japanese katakana character set. A, I, U, E, O. Ka, hi, ku, ke, go. Sounds like Zach is back. Sa, shi, su, se, so. Ta, chi, tsu, te, to. And so on. Welcome back.
Yep.
I was thinking after your next little rant, we'll wrap up. We'll wrap up after that.
The one thing I'm very surprised at is that PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, have not reacted violently towards this game.
Yeah.
A gameplay mechanic of Far Cry 4 is to kill and skin animals to upgrade your equipment.
Oh, that's repulsive.
It's a survival game, so... But I'm surprised because when Mario came out, PETA made that wonderful little Flash game where you had to skin Mario. Or the Pokemon game where the Pokemon brutally murdered trainers. But they haven't made anything regarding Far Cry 4. Maybe this is because PETA is a group of people that are so far out of touch with reality that they think renaming fish sea kittens will make it a little bit better to actually save fish. But then again, PETA is regarded in the same regards as people who basically stand on the corner of streets wearing funny tinfoil hats and screaming, "The space UFOs are coming to take my corn!" If you're going to support, this is just for my personal thing, if you're going to support any organization, support that helps animals, support the American Humane Society or the ASPCA, because they at least make strides to make sure that animals are treated ethically.
Mm.
Also, PETA has a kitten freezer.
Ooh.
They
For?
rescue all these animals, but they don't have any place to store them or to
Hmm.
keep them.
Yeah.
So, when people were reviewing the tax records of PETA, they noticed that they had made a lot of purchases in industrial grade refrigeration equipment. And they
Yes.
came to the realization through photos and infiltration on the parts of people that are far more concerned than they should be that PETA takes kittens and other animals and throws them in these giant freezers.
Lovely.
And then they post videos on Facebook about showing raccoons getting skinned alive.
Hmm.
There's some really truly screwed up people. The other game I got is Alien Isolation.
That was a strange jump from protecting animals to
Yeah.
aliens. Where was the logic in the jump? I felt
Uh,
like you hadn't
I
reached the
wanted
conclusion of
no,
the
I
animal
wanted to
thing.
skip. I wanted to skip PETA because the less I talk about PETA, the more less likely I'm going to have a stroke. So
Right. So it gets you worked up a bit, does it?
yeah, especially because PETA, I'm not sure if there's an Australian branch to PETA.
There isn't, as far as I'm aware. We have the RSPCA, the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals.
Yeah, ours is the ASPCA, the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals.
Hmm.
Yeah, PETA is basically a group of people that say we shouldn't kill any animals.
Yeah.
When really the ASPCA is more like some animals are it is necessary to kill certain animals for livestock and for the purposes of continuing our economic structure. Whereas PETA are so narrow-minded, they basically are a bunch of people who just frankly make me mad.
Hmm. Hmm.
So on to something that doesn't make me mad, scaring the crap out of me.
Right. With Alien.
Um, yes. Have you heard of Alien Isolation?
Probably, but not in any great detail.
Uh,
So this is
Alien
the
Isolation.
Alien franchise.
Yes.
Yep.
Basically, Alien Isolation, for those of you who don't know, is the Alien game where you play as Amanda Ripley, Ripley's daughter,
Clone daughter or natural daughter?
natural daughter, the one from the film.
Hmm.
Remember in the first and second movie, she said she had to get back to her daughter for her 9th birthday?
Yes.
That. Um, there's this. Basically, it's 20 some years after. It's 20 some years after the Nostromo incident in the first movie, and Ripley is now working for Weyland-Yutani as an engineer. She's sent out with a small crew of 4 people to go find the flight recorder from the Nostromo.
Hmm.
Well, you show up at this station, and things have gone from bad to, oh dear God, what is that thing crawling out of the vent?
Yep.
And you basically have to survive while the station you're on is falling apart. And I'm playing through, and I've gotten through like the first 25 minutes, and you get a companion.
Hmm.
This bald guy, and he's just like, "We gotta survive, love. You don't understand. We gotta survive." He's got like this British accent. And he's running through, and he's running with you, and you get to this area, and it goes to a cutscene. He's like, "You gotta go through those doors, and then everything will be fine." And I'm like, okay, that'll happen. And all of a sudden, he says, "You hear that noise?" And Amanda
Yeah.
goes, "What noise?" And all of a sudden, you see the iconic black tail shoot through his chest and pull him through the vent.
Nice.
And you're just like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" And there's blood. There's oodles of blood in this game. So you basically see this, and then finally you end up in an area. I'm about a good hour into the game, and You have to turn off the security lockdown. So I run over to the security desk and I hit enter because this is like turn off security. Enter. Doesn't work. Hit it again, hit it again. Nothing happens. And all of a sudden it goes into like those mid-game cinematics. Not
Mhm.
where it's not like a full-blown, like fully rendered, but it's sort of like in-game graphic thing.
Mhm.
All of a sudden you see Amanda Ripley do look up, and here comes the xenomorph crawling down from the vent, and it's as terrifying as you think it would be. And then it starts hunting you for the rest of the game. And I did have a friend tell me that there were complaints about actually from reviewers of the game saying that the game they gave it a bad score because the AI was too smart.
Oh, okay.
There's actually a thing. A friend of mine played through all the way, and he told me to pick up the game, which is why I did. And he said that there was a part where he hid an event,
Yeah.
and the alien walked by him. Okay. So next time he hides an event as the alien's coming by, the alien stops, looks at the vent, and pulls the vent cover off and kills him. The AI learns.
Hmm. But I wonder what it means for AI to learn. I mean, like, how much of that was pre-programmed, like hard-coded into its knowledge, or did it actually
A
figure that out
lot of
for
it.
itself? Yeah.
I think it's programmed to basically recognize certain patterns.
Oh, I see. There's not
And
really
so
learning
people are
it.
giving yeah. Well, it gets smarter and harder. There's also a little thing. If you have a Connect for the Xbox One,
Hmm.
you can turn on this neat little feature, which it's basically sound detection and head movement. So basically, imagine you're sitting there and you turn your head. Amanda will actually turn her head and do this in game.
Oh, okay.
However, imagine you're playing this game. You're hiding perfectly well from the alien,
Hmm.
and somebody rings your doorbell. With the noise detection turned on, the Kinect picks up on that sound, which means the alien just heard it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's too well programmed, almost.
Yeah. Also, bullets don't do anything.
To the aliens, nothing at all.
Nothing at all. All it does is piss it off.
Oh, how do you kill them?
You can't kill it.
How do you trick it into killing itself?
You can't. All you can do, if you have a flamethrower, you can scare it.
Right. So how do you win the game?
Survive.
Oh, for X amount of time, or until your ship docks, or
Until the end of the. You basically have to play through the entire story.
hmm. Okay, fair enough. And with that, I think we'll call it a day. So
Alright.
thank you. This is actually my first video on my channel for 2015. So thank you for
Mm-hmm.
being a part of that. And thank you for showing up.
Hey,
But
no.
we didn't really talk about anything. You just sort of talked about. Anyway, that's
No,
that.
I'm sorry for that.
Oh no, that's all right. That's just yeah. We'll leave it there. First video of my first video of 2015. Anyway,
Alright.
and that's that. And I'll see you next week, where I think we'll probably talk about Pokemon. Pokemon.
Woo, I haven't talked about Pokemon in a long. I have not cared about Pokemon for a long time.
What generations have you played?
The last Pokemon game I played was Pokemon Emerald.
On the Game Boy Advance or the DS?
Yep.
Crikey, that's going back a while. In all honesty, they haven't changed that much.
That's what I've heard. Like, I've heard a lot. I've actually know a couple of guys who are like, oh yeah, like I know a couple of guys that play through it still because I mean it's fun. But for me, I kind of I kind of lost that kind of because for me it stopped being fun and it started just being more grinding and tedious.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Really, the only difference is the graphics have gotten better.
That yeah, and then they keep adding more and more Pokemon.
Yeah. Are you a purist? Just the original 151?
I'm not a purist because if I was a purist, I wouldn't have played Pokemon Silver or Emerald.
Fair enough. Okay, and with that,
Well,
I think we'll leave it. We'll leave more of that talk for next time.
all right,
So I've been, yeah. See you next time.
all
Bye
right.
bye. So I'm hitting stop broadcast.